Is this shit rolling?
It's been rolling the
Oh
entire
my
time.
God.
So this is all going to get used no matter what. Let me ask you this. How excited are you to go to Costa Rica?
I'm very, very excited.
Yeah?
I can't believe we're leaving tonight.
What are you going to do for a whole month in Costa
I'm
Rica?
going to surf in Nosara.
Just every day surf?
I think that's the plan. That's the plan.
What if you come back and you hate surfing as a result of overindulging in surfing for an entire month?
Well, then I'll have to rethink my life.
So let's start talking about this stuff. Let me ask you this. Why don't you talk about what you do here at Sub Pop as a job?
Well, my title is warehouse manager. And it was really funny to me when I first was hired and I was the only person in the warehouse that was my title.
Does that make you suspicious?
Just meant I was managing myself. I did a pretty good job, I think. I've only gotten jobs kind of through friends who've already, who had like an in. Like the whole notion of coming up with a resume and pounding the pavement.
Okay. So are there, or if there are, describe them. Are there like particular perks of working here at Sub Pop for you?
The biggest perk for me is just kind of working with the people who work here. I think it's a great place to work. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to recruit people, because I'm certainly not.
Nor because you're leaving for a month today.
Well, I mean, that is the end result of 10 years of hard labor.
Right. Yeah. Congratulations.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, you experienced the same thing.
I did experience the same thing.
Not going to Costa Rica, but you had a month off.
No, I did. I think I did some housework.
How are the gutters now?
They're great. I like that you remember it was actually gutters. It was gutters.
Was it?
Yeah. It was a drain. I had to rebuild a drain on the yard. I'm doing a poor job of interviewing you because nobody wants to hear about my drain work.
Oh, no, it's fascinating. Keep going.
Hey, that was my boss, the big cheese, Chris Jacobs, talking to this guy. Mark Arm, who you may know him as the lead singer of Mudhoney, and we know him as that too, but also as the guy who won't let us take any boxes out of his warehouse. Ever.
And just to explain that, there is a warehouse here in the Sub Pop offices where the shirts that you buy, the records that you buy, get shipped from. Mark is in charge of that warehouse.
He's the manager of that.
And it doesn't matter if you're moving and need boxes.
Oh, in particular, if you are moving.
Oh,
Stay
really?
out of his warehouse. He's got his eye on you. Runs a tight ship.
Okay, don't make Mark Arm mad.
No, never. No, don't do that.
You are listening to episode 3 of the Sub Pop podcast. I am Arwen Nix, and I am sitting here with one of my very favorite people, Alyssa Atkins.
Oh, hi, Arwen. Thank you.
Alyssa, what's on the show today?
Today, we're going to talk to Tony Kiewel or Tony Kiewel. Either pronunciation is completely acceptable.
I appreciate your validation.
We're going to learn a little bit more about how comedy came on to the Sub Pop label. Wait, I don't want to say came on to the Sub Pop label.
I think it's too late. No. You already said it.
Oh, okay. Apologies. Yes, we're going to learn about that. And then we're going to talk here about how... Then we're going to hear about how Ben from Band of Horses and Sam from Iron and Wine first met and started a nice, long friendship.
Adorable story. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there is that. But first, our conversation with Tony Kiewel.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good job.
I sat down and asked him about, how David Cross's first record first came to Sub Pop. And I was a little confused as to the timeline of it, which you can tell by my first question.
The comedy thing.
Yeah, what were you thinking?
I was obsessed with this comedian, Mitch Hedberg.
I order the club sandwich all the time, and I'm not even a member, man. I don't know how I get away with it. I like my sandwiches with 3 pieces of bread. So do I. Well, let's form a club then.
I loved him, and I loved the CD that I had, and I was like, somebody needs to put this out for reals. And I tried to track him down, and I couldn't track him down. And he just would not answer any of the emails I sent him, or maybe I had the wrong email addresses. I don't know. In the course of trying to track him down, this booking agent, he was so excited. He called me like, oh man, you're not going to believe this. David Cross, he wants to do a rock club tour, and I'm going to get to book these shows.
And were you familiar with David Cross already?
Yeah. I mean, I would have been all over trying to sign David Cross if I thought that was remotely a possibility. I was like, hey, just shot in the dark. Mention to him if he's got any interest in doing a comedy record. And so that was sort of the genesis.
Thank you in advance for all the free pot you're going to give me. And the CDs, the demo tapes of your band that's 6 weeks old. That's not very good. Thank you for that in advance. But you got to start somewhere.
Simultaneous to all this, I had been having a lot of crass conversations internally at Sub Pop about things that would be advantageous about doing comedy. One, it costs next to nothing to make a comedy record. And at this point, Sub Pop had zero money to spend on making records. But a comedy record you record live in a venue and it's like 3 mics, maybe. You could probably pull it off with 1 mic, but it's good to get some of the laughter too. But that's it. And you record maybe 2 shows, you're good to go. I didn't do it right the first time with David Cross. We recorded about 40 shows.
And they're fucking, it's the worst, man. It's like, all right, yeah, well, we're here with funny man David Cross. David, you didn't know it, but you're just in time to help us out with the Friday morning fart song. Like, what? No, I'm not gonna do that. Not gonna do that. All right, you're here with the Gator and the Lunatic,
I'm shocked at how well it plays. And I'm so proud of that record. At that time, comedians still were doing sets on late night regularly. Like almost every night, there'd be somebody doing a stand-up set. Now that barely happens at all anymore, I feel like, on late night TV. But back then, I was like, we can't get our bands on TV to save our lives. Like, it had been years since a band on Sub Pop had gotten on a late night show. Wait, I can make a record for potentially like $1,000, and the guy can get on TV with a phone call. That seems like, how do we not do that?
I think there's a very strong possibility that George W. Bush may go down in history as the worst president we've ever had. Like the worst. I mean, like really bad, dangerously bad. And I don't mean like in a Millard film or
from
James
the very
Bond
beginning of
kind
working
way.
with David, everybody we met, and this is why I think, especially Megan and myself and Jonathan, became so enamored of doing more comedy. That community felt so comfortable, was so supportive of itself, and was so familiar feeling, and reminded me of how the music scenes I was a part of, when I was younger, how those felt. They put on their own shows like 4 times a week, and they're all friends with each other, and they help each other make weird videos, and they're so nice. I was immediately, drawn into that, and those guys have been, I think, it's been a dozen years now that I've known those guys. They're so great.
I very rarely, occasionally, obsessively watch porn on my phone.
I turned 37 this year. 37 years old, man. That's not a fucking birthday. Shame on you for applauding that.
Oh, this is a fun story because I'm recording this for Sub Pop. Sub Pop does a thing where if they have a showcase, often they'll have a tab at the bar and you can buy drinks on that tab, which is wonderful. But it's not that simple. There's often a password that only the people who are on the label know. But the password is created by Megan, who always makes it a terribly upsetting thing to say. So you go up to the bar and you have to be like, my knees are full of broken vaginas full of glass. I'd like a Jack and Coke now. So I was at South by Southwest a few years ago, and there was a Sub Pop showcase, and I was like, oh, what's the password? And Megan said to me, oh, the password is I have anal herpes. And I'm like, no problem. Better than paying $6. So I go up to the bar and I'm like, oh, I'd like a Jack and Coke. And the bartender is like, sure. And he's, goes to make it. And then I go, I have anal herpes. Can't really hear me. He's making the drink. And I'm like, no problem. Sort of coming over and I'm like, I have anal herpes. Still, he's sort of like, no big deal. Like, not really, no real connection. He hands me the drink. And I'm like, I have anal herpes. Still a oddly blank face. And then I look at Megan and she is laughing. And I'm like, there's no password, is there? No password. I'm just yelling quite emphatically, sort of like I won it.
Okay, Alyssa, question for you.
I'm ready.
That joke, is that real? Is that like real Megan Jasper?
Oh, it's real.
Really?
Yes. I love that R1 is getting to know the people at Sub Pop through these stories, because that's very real. That's not played up for comedy. That happened.
Here I thought it was just like everyone eating popcorn and smiling all the time.
No, I mean, sure, yeah, there's that.
There's that
but
too.
Megan may do something similar.
Cool.
To you.
Great.
One day, if you let your guard down.
Show no weakness.
Yeah. Very sweet lady, but she'll use that sweetness to get you to say.
Anal herpes?
Yeah, we're not saying that anymore. Apologies. I'm sorry, everyone.
Okay. Let's take a break from that for a word from our sponsor, the Sub Pop Megamart. Enjoy this one.
I have this whole other thing about swinging a cat. Swinging a cat.
Go for it. I want to hear the swinging a cat thing.
It's pretty disjointed. You can't swing a cat at or in the Megamart.
Can I see this one? I want to try and decipher your notes. Okay.
Well, that one is like part 2.
Swinging a cat Megamart ad. You can't swing a cat at shop.subpop.com without hitting a great-looking t-shirt. What's this? Let's try.
That's just like an aside. It's like you're starting over, so you can. Let's try. Every time you swing a cat.
Oh, okay. Let me.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know the words.
You can't. Okay, let's try. Every time you swing a cat at the Sub Pop Megamart, you're guaranteed to hit a great, culturally relevant soundtrack to your life record album by a band you may or may not have heard of once in high school. That's really funny. Does anyone say e-commerce anymore? You could swing a cat in the Sub Pop airport store, I guess, but I bet you'd miss your flight. You would hit a great-looking shirt before they could arrest you, though. I'm not sure if one would be arrested for swinging a cat in the Sub Pop airport store. I wouldn't like it if it happened, but I'm not sure that one would be arrested for it.
I would hope no matter where you're swinging a cat, you'd be arrested.
Someone is probably swinging a cat right now with no consequence to themselves.
That's horrifying.
We live in a dark world. You can't blink an eye without someone swinging a cat.
Conversely, you can't swing a cat without someone blinking an eye.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, those are getting weird. And I love it.
Okay.
No, I love it.
It's
good job, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Stuart, for being the voice of the Sub Pop Megamart for us. We will be roping in other people to talk about the Megamart later in the season. Next up, though, we are going to hear from Ben Bridwell, as promised. Ben explained to me how long ago he and Sam Beam of Iron and Wine first became friends, and I think that they're both adorable. So here's this.
I grew up in Irmo, South Carolina. It's like a satellite town of the capital, Columbia, South Carolina. Another more redneck town is called Chapin that Sam Beam grew up in. We just call them rednecks. I'm sure it's hard to say who's who. There's very few cool people in this whole area. At least that are into good music and good culture and free thinking kind of people. So luckily, my brother, who is Sam's age, somehow they met, and they were in college at the same time, or at least college age. I came home from, I'm pretty sure it was Seattle. I came home from there, and for Christmas, I came home to Irmo. I met Sam through my brother. He's like, you gotta meet my friend Sam. He's crashing on my couch. He's a really cool dude, real into film and real into music, and he's even recording some songs and stuff.
Just like the way that you ran to wine when they made the new milk turn. Jesus, a friend in the better times, let your mother's Bible burn.
Sam comes to pick us up at my dad's house in Irmo. My brother and I hop in his truck, and so I'm in the back seat, and the back speakers are still playing some music, and Michael and Sam are chatting, and as we ride along, and I remember it very clearly. I remember asking finally, when there was like a lull in their conversation, I remember asking like, hey, is this Rex or like Loftus or like one of those Chicago bands or something I haven't heard of, and I remember Sam just going straight for the volume knob and being like, whoops, not realizing that his demos were on.
When that southern anthem sings, it will lay her burdens down.
And I remember being like, wow, this is gorgeous. Immediately, just like really smitten. And before I left to go back home to Seattle, I asked my brother if I could somehow get that tape, basically, if Sam would mind if I dubbed that tape. Started a relationship, a great friendship with Sam that produced, upwards of 10 to 15 tapes, or then CDs once CD burners became a thing, before we all had, desktop computers or laptops. It was, someone had like a rack-mounted, CD burner or something. It became this thing, even though we barely knew each other. We had this very intimate friendship and closeness with music.
I think about her sometimes. I think you think about her sometimes. We all think about them sometimes.
Anything that I was finding in Seattle, and anything we stumbled upon that was old or new, we were always sharing mixtapes as well. So Jen's solo stuff, Carissa's weird stuff. Really, I was never a musician. I was always a mixtape guy. I just want to make mixtapes for people and get them into different music. I couldn't play anything. Anyone that would listen, I would share his music with. And Jen and Matt bought me a CD burner, one of those like, for my birthday one year, and it was really expensive. They must have spent, I bet they spent like $300 on this thing. And I wore its ass out. That thing was destroyed by the time I got done with it. But that was just such a huge thing to get another package from Sam, like a FedEx in the mail with a burnt CD in it of his new music, that I really didn't have a lot to relate it to. He was doing something that that kind of music was very I was very unfamiliar with that kind of music.
Blood on the floor, fleas on their balls, and you cry till the morning.
very acoustic and very Southern rooted in a way, in a contemporary sense. I wasn't listening to that kind of stuff. I was listening to like, shoegazing or indie rock bands. So I don't know. It was a huge deal, man. And luckily, of all the people I kept playing it for, a lot of people perked their ears up, and one of them was Megan Jasper, and then Jonathan Poneman, who then took Sam under their wing, and Iron and Wine was born.
Time and all you gave, I was a jerk who preferred the sea to tussling in the waves, tugging your skirt, singing please, 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 but now I see love.
I really love how they're still such good friends.
I know, I think it's really sweet. Like, they both have, a horde of daughters, and they hang out, and they even made a record together called Sing Into My Mouth, which is a covers record, which Ben told me he considers to be their ultimate mixtape collaboration.
Ben and his mixtapes, that's when I remember meeting him a long time ago, and they were legendary.
Yeah.
He makes a mean mixtape.
That's what Jen was telling me, that that was his thing.
He's
for a
good
while.
at it.
And he has a record label, Brown Records, because
Yeah.
he's always wanted to just put out bands. Hi, Ben. You're great. On episode 4, what we have to look forward to is frontwoman Shannon Perry of Gazebos.
It's not just an etiquette tip. It's really a public service announcement.
Yeah, let me correct myself.
Please.
Here's a public service announcement. Please take this advice from Gazebos frontwoman Shannon Perry.
Don't ever smell your fingers in public. What would be on your hand that you need to smell in a pleasant way? You're checking for something gross that has an odor.
Today you heard comedy stylings from David. Today you heard from comedians David Cross, Sarah Silverman, Eugene Merman, Patton Oswalt. Oh my gosh, John Benjamin's amazing piano playing. It's some really good stuff in there. And then, of course, we also added Mitch Hedberg, although not a Sub Pop recording artist. If you get an opportunity to hear Mitch Hedberg, you play Mitch
We're
Hedberg.
going to put some of that in the playlist just because everyone should be graced with a little Mitch Hedberg comedy. Rest in peace, Mitch Hedberg. And we heard music from Mudhoney, Chad Van Galen, Band of Horses, S, Carissa's Weird, Iron and Wine, and of course, Gazebos, who you are hearing right now. We'll be hearing more from Shannon Perry next episode, and I don't even know how to describe the interview with Kyle Thomas in episode 4.
I think it's better not to. It's
Okay.
just so good that you just need to experience it. Okay, anything you heard today on our podcast can be found on Sub Pop FM. That's our podcast website. You'll find a playlist of season 1, all the music that we've been featuring.
You can figure out how to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode.
It's true. And there's also past episodes and lots of other good stuff. You should probably just go there right now.
Tons of shenanigans. Newsletter, emails.
Yeah.
Tweeting things.
Trust us. Subpop.fm.
Check it out.
Thanks go out to Mark Arm, Ben Bridwell,
Chris Jacobs,
and Tony. Hey, guys, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping us out. Stuart Fletcher, that was a good job today.
Oh, Stu.
And then special thanks go to the Sub Pop brass, as always. Chris Jacobs, Megan Jasper, and Jonathan Poneman.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Don't take a picture of your biker girlfriend doing that.